Hey everyone, it's Joe and welcome back to another episode of The Scoop. Wrong show. Welcome back to Animanga. Since there's been a void of anime content on the channel lately, I thought it was time for me to fill the shoes of the weebs that came before me. In following in their footsteps, I've decided to cover another slice of life anime, and this one is called Vinland Saga. If you're familiar with the series, then you know it's not like any other slice of life anime at all. The dark, depressing tone that is brought on through the loss and regret of the main character, and the action is top-notch with every fight carrying intensity and emotional weight that propels character development. And talking about characters, the character motivation and depth is incredible. Okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, and I should come clean. Vinland Saga isn't really a slice of life anime, it's more of an action-filled seinen. The first season aired in the summer of 2019 and almost immediately became one of my all-time favorites, with such an interesting and fleshed out world set in around 1000 AD England amidst the Danish invasion, with our main character, Thorfinn, finding himself in the middle of this international power struggle all the way from his small village in Iceland. Growing up, Thorfinn had always looked up to his father, Thors, who used to be a fierce Viking warrior and fought with the mercenary company known as the Joms Vikings, where he was given the name the Troll of Jom because of how monstrous he was in battle. However, once his children were born, Thor's entire outlook on life changed, and so during a battle he actually faked his own death in order to live a peaceful life with his family. But that peace was short-lived, when after 15 years of living the quiet life, a former Joms Viking, Floki, found out Thors is still alive and practically threatened to kill the entire village unless Thors came back to fight in the Danes' war against England. Given practically no other choice, Thors had to accept, and along with a few other men from the village, set sail towards Jornborg. Not knowing how brutal war can actually be, Thorfinn snuck onto his father's longship, and what follows really kicks off the entire show. It turns out that recruiting Thors was actually a trap set by Floki in order to kill Thors for deserting all those years ago. He plans to do this by hiring a mercenary group led by Askeladd, who I'll talk about more in a minute, to ambush Thor's ship. The Troll of Jom would have little issue dealing with Viking fodder, but being the honorable man he is, instead calls out Askeladd as the leader and challenges him to a one-on-one fight to save those he's with and to save his son. This is the first real fight of the show we get, and it sets the bar for the rest throughout the season. While it would have been easy to just have a straightforward fight between two capable Viking warriors, Vinland Saga takes a much more tactical approach. It shows just how each fighter isn't just physically trying to overwhelm their opponent, but also outthink them. Askeladd, knowing he doesn't have the physical strength to compete with Thors, uses the surrounding area to his advantage and dance around Thors to make his attacks. Whereas Thors isn't as agile, his attacks are constantly having Askeladd on the defensive while trying to break his weapon. Once Askeladd realizes that Thors is doing more than swinging wildly, but is instead attacking his weapon, it's already too late.
しまった。奴の狙いは俺の剣か。これ以上は受けきれねえ。ってことは、奴の剣も。来た。狙いが読めりゃ剣筋も読めるぜ。来た大振り。
Thors has won, and as we think everything is safe, Thorfinn is taken hostage, and we see just how dirty Askeladd and his mercenaries are willing to play. Thors has no choice but to allow himself to be executed to save his son. And I know this sounds more like a recap of the first few episodes rather than a review, but it's an important build-up that sets up the course for the rest of the season. This is where Thorfinn's hatred for Askeladd is born, and this hatred is what fuels him for the majority of the season as we follow him through the rest of his childhood and teen years as a member of Askeladd's mercenary group. Also, he can get the chance to challenge him to a duel and avenge his father. Although Thorfinn's hate and rage towards Askeladd is the driving force behind the character in the beginning of the season, we see his character change and begin to question whether or not the people he's killed and the things he's done to get revenge are even worth it. But if he lets go of his hate, what would his purpose be? And we see Askeladd as a selfish mercenary who only cares about money when we're first introduced to him. But later on, we see that there are some deep-rooted beliefs that drive his decisions and have been there ever since he was a child. These characters are just two out of the many in the show that draw in the audience and make us feel connected to the world and what will happen with them in this war-torn land. Luckily, we won't have to wait much longer as the second season is scheduled to premiere later this year. This anime is one of the few in recent memory that does such a great job portraying the complex motives of its many characters, depicts an interesting world and engaging story without having to rely on some MacGuffin or crazy power system to carry the show. I could talk about the show for hours, but it would be difficult without getting into too many spoilers, so I'll end this episode of Animanga right here. I highly encourage anyone who enjoys suspenseful and action-packed, character-driven anime to check out Vinland Saga. Are there any anime that we haven't covered on Animanga that you would like to see? Tweet us at ZTV Goofing Off with the hashtag Animanga. See you next time, right here on Goofing Off.